Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dancefloor, and this is Vampire: The Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Available for $20 on Steam. It's developed and published by Draw Distance, along with a $4 soundtrack and a $6 art book, along with a standalone expansion, Shadows of New York, coming in the third quarter of 2020. Today, I'm going to have two friends joining me. AbsolueKaty, introduce yourself.
I'm AbsolueKaty.
Whoops.
Over That's all right. That's all right. I'm AbsolueKaty. I'm on twitch.tv/AbsolueKaty. I'm typically a retro streamer, but I play a lot of indie games live on Twitch there as well. So I'm looking forward to this. This is a little bit of a outside of my usual foray, but I'm looking forward to doing some voices for this game. It should be fun.
And I am also joined by my other friend, the host with the most, Biff Bufflington. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Dale. AbsolueKaty, it's a pleasure to be here. I am still trying to figure myself out here in the online world, but always happy to help Dale out. He's super supportive, and yeah, we'll give this a shot, see how she goes.
All right. Thank you to the both of you. And as always, the information for both of their Twitch channels, social media, and whatever else will be in the description below. So let's go ahead, start a new game. And let's get started. So, if you're familiar with the vampire universe, you know, there's about 13 different chapters or bloodlines. So you have the Bruja, the Ventru, who are the elitists, and the Toreador, who have very great verbal skills and swagger and all that. But I like the Bruja since they're pretty much the all-around balanced types. So we're gonna go ahead, name him Dale, because why not? And start a new game. Okay, so we have a mystery character here. I don't know whether this is a man or a woman, but any of you guys want to voice him? Him or her?
That
I'll
definitely
go ahead.
looks like a man.
Okay, we'll go with that. New York taught me to believe in fate. Oh, there we go. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we're all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate, you decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again.
Careful, Icarus.
I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all: money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a ninth generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson that can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate. A message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I'd trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor.
This is how it begins. The music is pounding, and your pulse is keeping pace. This is one of those nights that makes you feel alive, even though it started with you feeling dead. First came the messy breakup, then the realization you have nobody to talk about how much it sucked. Still, you decided to roll with the punches. One Facebook search for local events later, and you found just the thing for your malaise. I know I probably butchered that word, but whatever. A short subway ride, and you find yourself at the club just outside Dumbo. Not a fancy one, mind you. More like a slightly refurbished warehouse. But hey, at least the drinks are cheap. The DJ seems to really know his shit too, alternating between cutting-edge industrial techno and classic Detroit crowd pleasers, expertly feeling out everyone's mood. An hour passes, then 2. Usually, you'd feel awkward coming to a place like this alone, but tonight, you find something soothing in joining the crowd, blending in, even as you allow the beat to take over. Sweat, yours, other people's, soaks through your shirt and pants in a matter of minutes. A thought pops into your head. From the outside, the fully packed club must seem like a stuffy, smelly nightmare. But here, in the thick of it, it becomes exhilarating. And you're not even on a pill tonight. There's this Latina chick whose curves are accentuated by the tight dress clinging to her body. And as she keeps bumping into you, something tells you it only seems incidental. Yeah, it's a good night. You wish it could be, you wish it could last forever, because you all know too well what the next day holds. Waking up, getting dressed for work, the commute, the 9 to 5 grind that will make you just enough money to pay the rent and keep living in your overpriced shithole of an apartment. And with Jessica moving out, it'll all come out of your pocket. You run some quick calculations in your head and immediately come to regret that you did. Never mind. You spot the Latina again. She is now next to another guy, hitting it off. Your chance of not going to bed alone, gone, just like that. Fuck. Your mood temporarily shot down. You leave the dance floor and stumble your way to the filthy bathroom. You take a look in the mirror and start to wash your face, obsessively. Over and over again. A voice from the past echoes in your head. Katie?
I've never felt like this with anyone. Seriously, I mean it. I feel like all of my relationships up to this point were test runs, a shitty way to compensate for my low self-esteem.
But this feels right. Finally. Shut up, Jess.
This was the craziest fucking day of my life. God, I need a smoke. Pass me a light? What do you mean cops took the lighter? There's one in your mouth.
Just shut the hell up. This is not you. Not anymore.
Oh, fuck off. This is so like you. Acting like some sort of Clint Eastwood wannabe when I really, really need you to open up. You think you're impressing people with this tough guy act? Fuck you. I know how broken you really are. You need therapy.
Yeah. Now that sounds like the Jessica of today. You raise your head and look in the mirror. You try to smile, but all you can muster is a self-pitying grin. And there she is, the Latina from before. She says you look like you need a drink. You hesitate for a second or two, and then blurt out a surprisingly enthusiastic, "Yeah." You start to talk. It quickly becomes evident that she's into politics, and you are eager to please. You might be a corporate drone, but you spend a lot of evenings reading theory, actual theory, not bastardized Twitter cliff notes, and organizing for all manners of causes online. The status quo sucks. There must be something better. She agrees. You seem to subscribe to the same progressive political theories, have compatible ideas about DSAs, missteps, even watch the same YouTube channels. Your goals are aligned. She's a bit more radical than you have guessed. You attended a few rallies, been to a few protests, but this girl sounds like she broke her share of faces and kicked more than a couple of cops in the nuts over the course of her activist career. Her zeal is infectious. She taps into pent-up anger that you didn't know you had. The noisy club stops working for you both, so you hit the streets. Just as you're leaving, the DJ starts playing All the Things You Said by Tattoo, of course. You chuckle to yourself, trying not to slip into a bad headache. She chuckles along with you. It's chilly outside, but soon enough, you find yourself too invested in listening to the girl's voice to care about anything else. You realize you've been holding hands for a while. The subway car is empty, save for a stoic middle-aged couple and a drunk staring intently at his own feet. Plenty of room to stretch out, and yet she sits right next to you. You can feel her thigh pressing into yours, her breath on the side of your neck. Maybe it's the booze talking, but you distinctly, but you distinctly hear your voice asking if she'd like to crash at your place. I've got a better idea, she says. At this point, you're down for anything as long as it lets you spend just a few more minutes with her. She takes you to a sleazy motel in the Bronx, trading a few words with the balding, tired-looking guy at the front desk. He hands her a key. Still holding your hand, the woman leads you up the stairs. The room you end up in is almost comically stereotypical, complete with flaking paint and a sticky floor. Not that it matters though. The moment you step through the door, she's on you. You try to take the lead, but she's having none of it. Before you know it, you feel the rickety bed pressing against your back. It's floppy, fun, fierce, and not once does she lose the initiative. Your hands reach under her t-shirt. Strange, it didn't look like she was cold outside, but now her skin feels eerily cool, as if sensing your confusion. She slaps your hand off of her. She kisses your neck, and you're overwhelmed by the sensation. Darkness, the taste of liquid fire and smoke on your tongue. Her voice saying,
Sorry, kid. I did what I had to do to leave this city in one piece. But don't worry. With my blood and your principles, you're gonna do just fine.
She slams the motel door behind her as she leaves. You lie helpless on the soiled, pungent mattress for some time, minutes, hours, before you can focus enough to try and piece together your evening. It hits you with a big hunger. It grips you by the throat and makes your insides shrivel in terror. It's an all-encompassing emptiness that throws you on all fours. You crawl for a while, squirm on the floor in sundering pain, then jump to your feet and bust out the door. You black out. This isn't the room you saw when you last closed your eyes. Somebody curses at you, a small, naked, buff dude holding a short leather whip. Wow, what a goofy motherfucker. He throws a punch. He yells out several slurs. He hits you on the jaw. You black out again. The guy isn't moving anymore. There's blood on his neck. There's blood on his arms. There's blood on the floor. There's blood everywhere. Wow. Whoever did this is one sick puppy. You realize you're sitting on top of his corpse. You hear a whimper. Someone else is there, a woman. Her arms are inside of the bed frame. The eye mask over her face. Red marks on her back. This time you see it happen. You want to stop, but can't. She almost manages to get a scream out, but it dies in her throat as you bite into the side of her neck. You drink. Blood. You're drinking blood. You could swear you feel her life force escaping her body, entering yours. Suddenly terrified, you tear away from her. She's not moving, but she's breathing. There's barely a mark on her neck. The guy on the floor, though. You double over in a spasm, realizing what you did. You feel like throwing up, but can only gag. Panic sets in as another realization dawns over you. Your heart is not beating. You put 2 fingers onto your wrist, but no pulse. Same thing on the neck. Nothing. There's no breath coming out of your mouth. You have to get out. Get someone to call an ambulance. For yourself at least. Probably too late for the dude on the floor. Did you really kill him? Go for it, Biff.
What a mess.
You look up. The door to the room is ajar. A tall, handsome, broad-shouldered man fills the entire frame. He brushes an imaginary speck of dirt off his perfectly tailored suit. Okay, this is not what it looks like. Hey man, this isn't what it looks like.
That's good to hear, because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're in a whole world of trouble.
He surveys the room, not moving an inch from where he's standing. He shakes his head in mock concern.
Murder, assault, that's 25 to life if you're lucky. But since you're not, it's a death sentence.
He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch.
Lucky for you, it's been a slow night. Otherwise, I might not have gotten here in time. Come on, the sun comes up in a few hours. You don't want to be around here when it does.
I need a doctor. Screw the sun, man. I need a doctor.
A doctor will do you about as good as an undertaker at this point.
The man approaches you and starts talking. His tone remains unnaturally calm. Oddly enough, you find it both soothing and slightly unnerving.
Now, listen to me. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you, and going by experience, they tend to fall into 2 categories. First, there are the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on, the wise guys who tried to contact somebody secretly and without permission, the troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all.
His voice becomes slightly bored and monotoned. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times.
So you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's one of my true weaknesses. One that inspired me to come up with a 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times, and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy.
As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it.
3 strikes, and you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now.
You've never been too eager to bend the knee to anyone, but this is something else. The man's very presence instills a primal fear in your heart. I understand, sir.
Glad we have an understanding. Moving on, is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're all right.
He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason, the sight sends a chill down your spine. There is something very wrong about him.
Someone closest to you?
Jessica, my ex-girlfriend. She kinda hates my guts, but yeah, I suppose it would be her. The stranger gives you a puzzled look and decides to prod further.
The closest person to you in your life hates your guts?
This time, something resembling a look of pity. He turns his eyes to the corpse on the floor.
When it rains, it pours, I suppose. Well, if you'd like to ruin her day and let her know you're all right, give me her phone number. I'll have someone take care of it. Discreetly, of course.
You hand him your smartphone so he can copy the number from your list of contacts.
Thank you. This will be useful in illustrating my next point.
Instead of giving you back your phone, the man hides it in his pocket.
From this point on, you're subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes along looking for you, it's over for both you and them.
He interrupts his monotone recitation and stares deep into your eyes.
So, unless you want your girlfriend to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I suggest you cooperate.
He proudly displays his fangs again. You've put Jess in danger. God damn it.
I can only hope that you care for her enough not to do anything selfish.
His words are meant to imply otherwise, but by now, it's obvious. He hates your guts as much as you hate his. He's itching for a fight, but you're almost willing to oblige.
All right. I think that's enough lecturing for today. We're on a bit of a schedule here. Now, I don't need to hurt you, but I can do so in the blink of an eye. Just so that we're clear, I have the authority to end you right here, right now. This is not an idle threat. So, are you going to play along, or do we have to do it the hard way?
You weigh your chances, but it doesn't look promising. The guy's fit, determined, and looks like he means his business. You, on the other hand, are confused, exhausted, and on the verge of a panic attack. Yeah, fine. I'll go with you. He almost looks disappointed.
A wise decision. Follow me, please, and close the door behind you.
You take one final look at the woman, who's just coming to. At the body on the ground. This is fucked. Absolutely fucked. You pull the handle and close the door. The man leads you downstairs. You contemplate signaling the bald guy at the front desk, but he's too busy watching some 90s action flick on a small, ancient-looking TV. He seems totally oblivious to your presence. You hear a dejected Jean-Claude Van Damme say, "I want to go home," as you're walking by. Your would-be kidnapper stops by the door and addresses you before opening it.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, as soon as he opens the door, I'm making a run for it. Maybe I can outrun him. I'll save you the trouble. You can't. You can either get inside my car and I'll get you to where you need to be, or you can try something stupid that you'll regret later. Do I make myself clear?
Clear as day.
Day, huh?
He opens the door and gestures to a black Cadillac Escalade parked right outside the building.
After you.
Following the stranger's instructions, you make your way to the car and get in the passenger seat. The door locks behind you. Inside, the Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets in the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. Who the hell are you anyway?
I'm the ferryman, here to take you to the other side.
He weighs his next words carefully.
You'll have to forgive me. I'm not in the mood to wax poetic about the state you're in or my role in tonight's events. Just remember, if you want to survive the next 24 hours, you will have to play along.
You can't do this. I've got rights.
Yes, you do, but not the ones you're used to. Not anymore. Understand that this is for your own good. Times being what they are, you should consider yourself lucky.
You drive in silence for about 20 more minutes. As exhaustion catches up with you, the streetlights fade into a blur. Eventually, the car stops and the doors open. You emerge from the dreamlike state and find yourself in some kind of underground parking garage. You two are the only ones here. The man points to a nearby door.
Go on in. Make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers.
Behind the door is a small room, no windows, just a simple bed and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. I guess I got no choice but to trust you.
It took you this long to figure out. Remember when I said you were lucky? I meant it. See, my job is to get rid of problems. But I'm not always this polite about it. This time, I was specifically told to mind my manners. So believe me when I tell you, considering how this night could have turned out, being stuck in here for a night is a really good deal. Now get in, or I'll throw you in.
You step inside. The stranger nods.
Good night.
He closes the door behind you. It looks sturdy, but as he's locking it, you notice claw marks all over. Looks like some previous guests weren't satisfied with their stay. You decide not to dwell on it and check the fridge. There's a plastic bag in there filled with red liquid, no label. Gee, I wonder what it could be. Tomato soup? You look sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for tomorrow. For now, sorry. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. You can't help but think it looks exactly like the one back at the hotel with the bound woman. Oh, right. You killed a man tonight. Or did you? Maybe none of this is real. Maybe it's all an elaborate prank. The girl at the club, Jess, might have put her up to it. The tall guy's clearly in on it, too. Now he's back with them, and they're all laughing their asses off. You don't know what to think anymore. Your mind races, but you're too tired to keep it going. Finally, you tense up one last time before driving away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep. More like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on. The AC is still rattling. The refrigerator's humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone. And you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating. But now, it's almost, no, not almost, it is enticing. It feels wrong, but right now, there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes bland. Reminds you of a cheap supermarket juice. Just enough flavor to register as what it claims to be on the box, but nothing like the real thing. Nothing like what you had nothing like what you had last time. You swallow it. Somehow you don't feel sick. In a weird, messed up way, you can't help but think it feels nourishing. You take a few more sips, and then just another one. Suck on the bag a little more. Eventually, you find that you've emptied the entire Try that again. Eventually, you find that you've emptied it entirely. You look at the info pressed into the side of the bag. 450 milliliters of it. Even with the blandness, you still feel like having one more. You realize your body longs for that intoxication, how you felt when an image of that corpse crosses your mind, causing you to wince. What have you become? You try to piece your thoughts together, make sense of it all. When you hear the lock click and see the door open, standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, that predatory look, like a hawk on the hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tamed hawk, maybe.
Good evening, young Skywalker. Sorry, I did that for the chat, dude.
Nice.
Good evening. Slept well?
He notices the discarded empty bag.
I see you had a bit of a snack.
I did. Got any more?
No, don't expect sustenance to be this easy to find the next time. Come on, we've got places to be.
The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you have spent the day in. The man motions to it politely, but with a stern look on his face. Get inside the car. I'm trusting you here, man.
I'm touched. Sincerely.
You take the back seat again. The door clicks. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while, but from time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproof, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming and the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There is nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry. No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You try to extract more information out of the man behind the wheel, but you realize you prefer to bask in the afterglow of your last meal. You wouldn't have expected it, but you spent the rest of the trip lost in your thoughts. A lot of them concern blood. It takes you another 20 minutes or so to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York. That much is certain. Queens, maybe.
After me. No sudden movements, please.
You approach a nice looking building that houses a two-story gallery called the Art Hall. Two large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. Serving drinks. All of them are my brain is messed up. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed, for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many of the guests look at you and the strangers who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interests on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. The last time you felt like this was at your previous job interview. It was like being a piece of livestock, inspected from all sides for any imperfection, so your wage could be haggled down. It was dehumanizing and made you feel dirty. When they called you for the next day to offer you the job, you declined. Even when you're a nobody, you become even less if you trade away your dignity for a paycheck. The memory makes you feel warmer inside even now, although the state of your bank account never did.
Good evening, Kadir. And to you, Childe.
The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, Miss.
You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Penhard, child of the Michaela.
Thank you, my sheriff, but I am capable of introducing myself.
She is somewhat plain looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear.
You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression.
A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience.
But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first.
You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here.
Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here.
Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe?
A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. The hunger made him savage. A prostitute and his client in a Bronx brothel belonging to one of the ministry. I've already spoken to the Sansa Reek about this and made sure it'll blow over.
Just do your best, no judgments.
Regarding the fledgling himself, surprisingly enough, he offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force his compliance. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post haste, I urged him to join me, which he did without struggle. Again, a pleasant departure from my usual routine. His thirst partially slaked with the bagged blood we kept in the safe house, we had a pleasant enough drive here. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight.
All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. She's a beautiful woman with curly hair, almost blood red hair, and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with a absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder?
Thank you, Kadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later.
She turns her attention to you.
First, there is the matter of your sire. The person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they?
Feisty woman. A Latina woman. Very radical. Unless she's convincingly lied to me, she was special. Extraordinary. She had fire, conviction, temper. She seduced me. Easily, in fact. Made me think she wanted me. I fell for it. And now I'm here. It feels awkward talking to a room full of strangers about what seemed like a random one-night stand at the time. Not to mention that even though the Latina made an impression on you for sure, her face is already fading from your mind. You realize she never even told you your name.
Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar?
No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here.
I told you what I can. Can I go now?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it was worth a shot.
What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince?
What is your recommendation, my sheriff?
The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty.
Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement.
Of course.
He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kadir what all that talk of traditions and councils was, when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you.
Sophie,
Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling.
what for?
She lowers her voice in response.
Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all.
Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve.
I'll go get my sword.
He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you.
Well then, fledgling, you are in quite the pickle.
Pickles are awesome, by the way.
I love pickles.
Okay, let's see. What is this circus? What the hell is with this party for rich sickos? Looks like something straight out of a conspiracy theory.
Everyone here knows a thing or two about conspiracies. But we don't have time to discuss those right now, so I'll stick to explaining what concerns you, most directly. Last night, you became a vampire.
Wait, what?
Oh yes, I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires? You're looking at them. They're us.
You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on... Excuse me, let me start that again. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There's no denying it. And your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still, sorry. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat.
You're surprised. This is often how it plays out, by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as surely as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and your deference to Kadir will work in your favor. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences.
What happens if I refuse?
I believe I know what the prince will ordain, and I am certain Kadir will do his duty. You, my poor fledgling, will die. For good this time. With me, there's a chance you will not. I can be your guide in this new reality.
Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you.
When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition.
She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again.
Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla, gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling.
She briefly addresses you.
I want you to know that this was not an easy decision to make. For your part, you have not done anything to earn our ire. I do feel a genuine sorrow for what must be done. We are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. There is no place for tolerating dissent when our very existence is under constant threat. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this.
She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before. A rather plainly dressed, shy-looking man, whose skin is a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in indifference.
I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is the progeny that must be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir?
You hear a scraping sound, and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. I wonder if it leans to the left or the right. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up.
Well, 2 ounce. Bottom of the 9th.
His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination.
And he's out to bat.
You will not get another chance to speak up. You make your choice. I'm not going down like this, damn it. Spare me.
Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer.
Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice.
Is there something you'd like to say, Mrs. Langley? Yes, if I may.
At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The board elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods.
Well, let's hear it.
All right, Katie, you're about to have a conversation with yourself. Let's see how this goes. Sophie takes a step forwards. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulders makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction.
My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed, in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with the proper guidance, they could become an asset for our domain. Am I to understand you are volunteering to take this sireless child under your protection? Yes. I happen to think they might hold a potential that would be unfortunate to waste. I do expect their full cooperation, of course.
Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise.
Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Mrs. Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling, and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you.
I am worth keeping alive, Prince. Give me a chance to prove myself.
That remains to be seen. I do take notice of your tenacity. See that it doesn't become a burden. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory. Ms. Langley? Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well.
She turns to you.
What is your name, child?
Dale, Prince. She nods.
Welcome to the Camarilla, Dale. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I had anticipated. But with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties.
Of course, Prince, but don't tell me I took out my pickle-slicing sword for nothing.
He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery.
Well, Dale, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership. Maybe with some pickles?
She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges, who now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a I'm not even gonna pronounce that of red liquid. He pours it into two tall glasses. It's blood again. That much is clear. You're in two minds about drinking it, but the memory of last night's hunger makes you wince. You take a tentative sip. You expected the same blandness you tasted a few hours ago, but this one you can actually taste savor. You can actually savor. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it.
Do you like it? I think New York City caterers have very bourgeois ideas about what a good blood should taste like. Apologies. You must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance.
All right, Katie and Biff. I think we're going to go ahead and end it here because, well, they're just going to talk about blood. We already know what vampires consume. So,
What is
Was,
it?
was it our pickle talk? Is that the real reason you're shutting us down?
no, not at all.
Are we being fired?
No, you're not being fired, but pretty much,
Got shown the door.
yes. No, not at all. Just, you guys want to continue? We could continue if you want.
I'm having a great time. This is super fun.
I'm having
Okay.
a blast.
But
Just
I've got a question for you two, and that question being is, what do you think of the game so far?
It's really fun.
Oh,
I'm enjoying it. It's like leading into something.
all right. What say you?
I don't know
Biff?
if I could play it by myself, but playing it in this manner right here is outstanding, and I could play this for days.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, yes.
Be-
I second that sentiment.
Because Katie, remember I told you that prior to the recording of this, I had a little surprise for you.
Yes.
You're still streaming this, right?
Yes, yes. We're all live and you've gotten lots of great compliments about your voice, and Biff's getting good compliments. Everybody seems to be really enjoying this.
Well, guess what, Katie? Your audience is gonna have a chance to win the deluxe edition of Vampire, the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, the collector's edition, which also includes the soundtrack and the art book.
What? Oh my goodness. It's like I've been bitten and turned into a new person.
Yes, so do what you gotta do to to arrange that giveaway, and I'll shoot you the info for that in a little
Okay,
bit.
cool.
All right,
I'll go
sounds
ahead
good.
and do this now if you want to take a break. People in the chat says he's got to poop. So,
Okay.
what
All right,
The
so
mystery has been revealed.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end this on my end. I'm gonna end the recording, and but we're just gonna continue streaming this. So thank you both, AbsolueKaty and Mr. Biff Bufflington, for joining me and helping me out with this first impressions video of Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. Again, developed and published by Draw Distance. Available for $20, along with a soundtrack for $4 and an art book for $6. And keep an eye out for the standalone expansion, The Shadows of New York, coming in the third quarter of 2020. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Dale.